Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down Bellator 285. So real quick, I am just getting our screens looking a little bit better. And yeah, we're going to get right into this. Not going to waste too much time because we do have the Contender Series coming up soon. And I know everybody wants to get to it. There's also a bunch of shows going on right now breaking down the Contender Series. So I will try to be quick, and then we can all get ready for the show tonight. So we'll get right into it. First, I wanted to give a shout out to the guys who pulled up super early. Not early. I did say 5 to 6. So I do really appreciate them coming through. We want picks. Thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate you tuning in. Papa Chuck, as always, appreciate you big time. He does know what's up, even though that wasn't what I was doing this time. I was just quickly getting everything together. Had to give the dog a quick walk. And now we're going to jump right into this card. So I'm already drinking for the Contender Series. I want to get a little bit of a buzz. So to anybody else drinking or doing any other activities, cheers, and let's break down these fights. All right. So for this first one, we've got a battle of Karls. We've got Karl Albrektsson versus Karl Moore. Albrektsson is 13-3-0. 28 years old. He's 6'2" with a 76-inch reach, and I've got him training out of All Stars MMA right now. He's got a nice picture with Hamzat. Always bumps the line a little bit. So, and then on the other side, we've got Karl Moore. He's 9-2-0. I do not have an age for him. He's 6'2" though, 75-inch reach as well, and I have him training out of SBG Ireland. So for this one, honestly, like, you're going to hear this a decent amount from me on this card. And I just think that Albrektsson has him covered everywhere. The line, it reflects that. You look at the line, and the line is Albrektsson minus 400 on Bet Online, plus 300 come back on Moore. And I think that makes sense just because watching the tape, I don't see anything that Moore can do that Albrektsson can't do better. Moore, he's super hittable on the feet. He does have decent striking. I like his jab. He's got decent combinations. The 1-2's there when he's using it. Output seems a bit off, but I just feel like Albrektsson's the better striker. He's got a better jab. He's more solid with the striking. The combinations are better. Good kicks, good counters. He's better defensively for sure. He's not getting hit as much. 2 KO losses. Jiri Prochaska's 1 and Phil Davis via ground and pound is the other. I don't see Moore knocking him out. I don't see Moore submitting him. I just feel like Albrektsson should roll here. Whether it's a finish or a decision, I'm not sure. Moore is kind of tough. Maybe it's a decision. Albrektsson can also grapple. He's shown that. He's for sure the better wrestler here. Moore was getting held up against the fence in his last fight, I believe, against Chadwick. But regardless, I'm on Albrektsson. He's the first leg of my big 4 chalk parlay that I'll talk about. I got him at minus, I want to say 410. I did it on FanDuel. So, yeah, minus 410. He's the first parlay leg for me for my chalky Bellator parlay. And it really just comes down to me thinking that Albrektsson has Moore covered everywhere. I don't see where Moore can win this fight. So, therefore, I think Albrektsson wins this fight. And we're going to move on to the next one. We've got another Moore here. We've got Brian Moore versus Arivaldo Silva. Brian Moore is 14-9-0. He's 35 years old, 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. And he's another guy fighting out of SBG Ireland, not the best camp. And on the other side, we've got Arivaldo Silva. He's 19-10-0, 40 years old, 5'6", training out of American Top Team Brazil. And guys, just go look at Silva. Like, what in the world? Like, I really don't know what to make of it. Silva, he's got 6 submission wins, every single one's by guillotine. His takedown defense is absolute hot garbage. The get-up game is all right. Wrestling looks all right. It's really hard to know what you're getting with this guy. He's super flat-footed. He's fought terrible competition, so it's hard to really know how good he is. But I don't think he's very good. And he's got a low output with his hands. Everything's kind of loopy. I think Moore is a much, much better striker here. I think Moore is going to piece this guy up on the feet. Moore keeps it tight, keeps it straight. Good jab. Nice 1-2. He's much crisper. The leg kicks are great. And like you look at his last 2 fights, Jornal Lugo and I want to say Nikita Mikhailov off the top of my head. Both of them out-grappled him. I don't see Arivaldo Silva out grappling him. So Brian Moore, I do like him to win this fight. He's another one of these really heavy favorites. His line is sitting at, let's check it out. You can get Brian Moore at minus 400 as well. You can get it as low as minus 330 on FanDuel. And personally, I'm not going to be adding Brian Moore to my chalk parlay, even though I do think he wins. I'm a little nervous. He's not some top tier talent to be a minus 400. And Arivaldo Silva is a giant unknown. He's not very good, but maybe Moore goes for a sloppy takedown and gets caught in a guillotine. Who knows? So I'll have Moore in one of my, I'm definitely going to have a lottery ticket parlay for this card. But other than that, I won't be playing Moore. I just feel like even though he should roll here, I'm not willing to take the risk on that minus 400. So going to stay off, but I do think Brian Moore rolls. I'm going to be saying that a lot because there's a lot of one-way matchups in my opinion. So here we've got Brett Johns versus Jordan Winski. Brett Johns is 18, 3-0, 30 years old, 5'7" with a 69-inch reach. And right now he's actually training with Jack Shore and his father over at their camp, Shore MMA. So great camp. Good to see him there. On the other side, you got Jordan Winski, 12, 3-0. He's 33 years old, 5'9" with a 69-inch reach as well. He's 2 inches taller, same reach here. And I've got Winski training out of Team Quest. Not much to say here. I think Brett Johns is significantly better everywhere. He's got Winski covered. Brian Moore was holding Winski up against the fence. I think Johns is going to be, if he takes him to the fence, he's going to take him down. If he takes him down, I think he could submit him. Johns 5 submission wins, 3 for Winski, but 1 sub loss for Winski. I think that Johns is the better striker. I think that Johns is the better wrestler. I think that Johns is the better submission grappler. So because of that, I don't see a way for Winski to win this fight. I don't even want to say puncher's chance because I don't really see it. He does have a nice right hand, but that's about it. I do think that Brett Johns is going to be the better striker. And I just think all he needs here is the wrestling if he really wants it. He can finish the fight, I think, fairly quickly on the ground. I do like Brett Johns here. He's a minus 500 favorite on FanDuel. It's even wider elsewhere, I believe. But I parlayed it on FanDuel. He is the second leg of my chalk parlay. So far for the chalk parlay for Bellator 285, we've got Karl Albrektsson at minus 410 and Brett Johns at minus 500. Super chalky card. So we got to do what we got to do to make some money. So we're going to move on. And just another chalky spot. We've got Darragh Kelly versus Kai Stevens. Kelly is 1-0 undefeated as a pro. He's 24 years old, 6 foot tall with a 72-inch reach. And he's training out of SBG Ireland. On the other side, you've got Kai Stevens. He's 3-1-0, 24 years old as well. Also 6 feet tall. He's got a 73-inch reach, so he's got a 1-inch reach advantage. And he's training out of Gym 01. He's one of 2 guys training out of there. We'll be talking about the other one soon. And for this fight, again, I think that Kelly should roll here. I think that this is a gimme fight for him. You look at Stevens. He hasn't been submitted, but he has no sub wins himself. His takedown defense is all right, but he got reversed on his own takedown. I just don't see him being able to keep the fight up on the feet. I do think he might be the better striker, honestly. Darragh Kelly, he's very green still. He made his pro debut in 2022. Not that Kai Stevens is that much more experienced, but I just think that Kai Stevens is probably the better striker. But I also think it won't matter. I think that Kelly can strike enough to close that distance. And once he's in on those takedowns, I think he's taking Kai down. I think he's controlling Kai. I think there's a chance he submits him. His one pro fight, he submitted the guy. And out of his 9 amateur wins, 7 of them were by submission. So while I think the striking's not even. I think the striking's close with an advantage going to Stevens. I think it's not going to matter. I think the relentless grappling of Darragh Kelly is going to make the difference here. And I just think that Kelly's going to either grind him out or more likely, I think he's going to submit him. So Darragh Kelly is the third leg of my 4-piece chalk parlay. We won't be getting to the last leg for a little bit, but he is the third leg. I think he should roll here. I think this is a gimme match for him. There will be a big question mark if we get out of round number 1. Darragh Kelly's never been to decision. He has been to round 2, but I don't think he's been to round 3. Whereas Kai Stevens has been to decision. If we're stuck on the feet, what's this going to look like? I think it's possible Stevens is going to be beating on Kelly a bit. So this may be one of those big dog upsets that Bellator has. It's usually 1 per card, right? But I personally don't think so. I think that Kelly has what it takes to dominate this fight. And that's why he's the third leg of my 4-piece chalk parlay. And we're going to move on. So finally, a fight that's not so straightforward. We've got Georgi Karakhanyan versus Kane Mousah. Karakhanyan is 31, 13, and 1. He's 37 years old, 5'8", with a 67.5-inch reach, and he is still training out of Millennia MMA. And on the other side, we've got Kane Mousah. He's 13, 4-0, 36 years old, 5'8", with a 68-inch reach, and he's training out of Manchester Top Team. So the last time we saw Kane Mousah was actually against Davy Gallen, and he got cut up, kind of similar to like Greg Rodriguez or Song Yadong this past weekend, where it was a terrible cut, and everybody, including the commentary, thought the fight was going to get called. It didn't get called. He made it to a decision. He ended up losing, but it was a close fight. There's a lot to like from Kane Mousah. He's on the older side. He's a younger guy here, but like you can't call him young. He's 36 years old. But in terms of career age, I think that he is the much younger guy, 13, 4-0, so 17 fights to Karakhanyan's, what is that, 45 fights for Karakhanyan. So Mousah's the fresher guy. And look, I think the best bet here, I'm hoping we get the over 1.5. I'm hoping that's what they set the over at. If they give us over 1.5 at something playable, like minus 150, set 175, I think that's the move here. Both these guys are super tough, super durable, and maybe we don't go to a decision, but I don't see them finishing each other early. So I love that over, depending what we get it at. And then if I'm going to pick a side, I would pick Mousah. I was tempted on playing him money line. He is currently an underdog. He's plus 160, come back on Georgi's minus 200. Look, I can't be playing Karakhanyan as a minus 200 favorite when I don't really know what his edge is going to be here. Yeah, he's a very good submission grappler, 9 submission wins, pretty good takedowns. Takedown defense himself could be better, but I think it's just he doesn't really care because he's going for subs, Striking defense for Karakhanyan, not great. He's pretty hittable. I like his push kick. I did notice that. The striking's pretty good, but the output is just not there. Mousah on the other side, he feints a lot with his hands, mixes the punches with his kicks nicely. Good jab. The output is better. He can swing a bit much and get it hit, but, Karakhanyan, that reach has kind of stifled him a little bit. I know they have the same reach here, but I just think that Mousah is going to find more success on the feet than Karakhanyan. And I think that if Karakhanyan tries to take it to the ground, I think that Mousah's got good enough takedown defense to keep it up. And on the feet, I do think he should win. I'm not confident enough to get to a play, I don't think, because both of these guys, they are older. It is hard to really get a good read. But I got to go with the guy who's got a bit less wear and tear, who I think is the better striker. And while I don't think he's a better grappler, I think he should be able to keep it on the feet. So I do like Kane Mousah to win this fight. Am I going to get it to a bet? Probably not. It's just not enticing enough for me at plus 160. We'll see. Maybe I'll get there. I'll end up running the tape probably on a few of these fights again, just to see if maybe I missed something. Look, I do think Mousah wins. It's just, I don't know. I'm hesitant to make a play. Karakhanyan has shown an ability to come through. He is an absolute dog. So definitely a questionable fight, and I wouldn't be too confident on either side. So we're going to move on to, we've got Alex Bodnar versus Kenny Mokhonona. Kenny Mokhonona. Bodnar is 4-1-0. I do not have an age for him, and he or a reach or a height or anything, it looks like. And he's training at a gym 01. Kenny on the other side is 3-0, undefeated as a pro. He's 25 years old, and he's training out of SBG Ireland as well. So look, as you can tell, we have very little information on Bodnar, right? Don't know his size, don't know how big he is. There's no measurables. I don't imagine that he's going to be much bigger than Kenny. Kenny's also quite big. He's a big guy for the weight class, for featherweight. And look, I think that Kenny is probably the rightful favorite. He's like minus 300, something like that. I think that's a bit steep for a guy with only 3 pro fights. But, 3 pro fights, 3 submission wins, relentless grappling, really nice takedowns. And if he doesn't get the first, he's going to get the second. If he doesn't get the second, he's going to get the third. He's another one of these guys similar to Kelly, where he's just going to be grappling. And while I think on the feet, Bodnar is the better striker. He has a good jab. He keeps it crisp, nice combinations. his takedown defense isn't great. He got taken down by Callum Moen, got his back taken. He got put in a few sub attempts, and then eventually got submitted. So, yeah, I like Kenny here. I think it's another spot where he should roll. But out of all of the big favorites, he's definitely one of the ones I'm least confident in. I don't think his striking is that good. He's very hittable. And I am concerned with what's going to happen if he can't get his grappling going. So the pick is Kenny, but I probably won't be parlaying him or anything like that. Maybe in my big lotto ticket parlay. But other than that, I don't think it's worth it. I think it's a spot to just watch and learn more about these two. But I do think that Kenny should win this fight quite dominantly. I am waiting to see what the props come out with. We'll see what we get. If I get sub props on guys like Kenny and Kelly at decent prices, I'm going to play those. If I can get Brian Moore by KO, I'm going to play that. So there's a few prop spots. Definitely make sure you're following me at Couch Warrior Pod. That's where I post all my plays as soon as I make them. So if I end up making any more plays on this card, I do have one money line I'm going to be talking to you guys about soon that I want to play. And if I play any of my props, you will see those on Twitter as well. So speaking about my money line play, I believe he's up next. All right. So we've got Asael Adjoudj versus Jordan Barton. Adjoudj is 3-1-0. He's 23 years old, super young, 6 feet tall with a 72-inch reach, and he's training out of SBG Ireland. Jordan Barton on the other side is 7-2-1. He's 29 years old, so he's 6 years older. 5'10", so he's 2 inches shorter. And he's got a 68-inch reach, so he's given up 4 inches in reach. And I have Barton training out of Manchester Top Team. So for this fight, I really like Barton, honestly. And it really comes down to this. I understand that Adjoudj has this really big size difference, 2 inches taller, 4-inch reach advantage. If you've watched my shows before, you know I believe in weight bullies. I think it matters. I think it's important. So, he does have that going for him. But other than that, I don't know what he has that should win him this fight. You look at his 4 pro fights, the combined record of his opponents is 2-3-0. You look at Barton, it's not much better, but it's more experience, 22-19-0. He's at least fighting decent guys, whereas Adjoudj is fighting terrible, terrible guys. Adjoudj, he has a good front kick, nice leg kicks, but with the hands, the output is super low, and I just don't like seeing that. The jab is good, but he barely uses it. Offensively, he has a nice trip, but not much more. His takedown defense and get-up game do look pretty good, though. He moves a lot of lateral movement. And, he kind of reminds me of Fares Ziam in the way he fights, just a Walmart version. Definitely not as good. On the other side, Barton, I love his striking. I like his jab a lot. I think his 1-2 is really good. He's very crisp. Output is very good. The combinations are very good. His wrestling's pretty solid. He has got a nice trip. His takedown defense looks pretty good, but his get-up game is even better. He does get taken down sometimes when he does stupid things like a flying knee, but I don't think that's really going to matter here. And I've got it in my notes. He has that dog in him. So I do like Barton here. I think he's got Adjoudj covered everywhere, and I think the line is really generous. I think a lot of it is people are getting hype. They see 3-1-0 to 7-3-1. The guy who's 3-1-0 is young. He's big. He's tall. Got a reach. So, yeah, I can see how it's easy to kind of wiki cap it and be like, all right, I'm going to play the dog. But personally, I really like Barton here. I think he's got him covered. And especially in the striking, I think he's the much better guy. And right now, we can get Barton at -150. The comeback is +130 on Adjoudj. This is DraftKings I'm talking about. And I'm going to wait. Money's coming in on Adjoudj. If I can get Barton at a better price than -150, I'm going to be in on it. I mean, I'll play it at -150 too, if that's what it comes to. But it's looking like I'll get a better line. So I do like Barton. It's another one of these fights on this card where I think he just covers his opponent everywhere. I don't really see where Adjoudj is going to win this fight. So because of that, I'm going to be playing Barton once the line settles, and we're going to move on to another interesting matchup. Quick White Claw sip. So for this fight, we've got Dante Schiro versus Luca Poclit. Schiro is 9-3-0, 28 years old, 6'1" with the 73-inch reach. And he's interesting with this camp. He's actually all over the place. According to his Instagram, recently he's been at Pound for Pound Muay Thai. He's been at Elevation Fight Team. And most recently he's been at Landau Performance. I believe that's probably somewhere over there. where they would be fighting. So he's interesting with that. It's good to see a guy who's going around and mixing up his camps, learning, finding different bodies to work with. And then on the other side, you've got Luca Poclit. He's 7-1-0, 33 years old, so he's 5 years older. He's 5'10", so he's 3 inches shorter. I do not have a reach for him, and he is training out of SBG Ireland. And Poclit is super interesting, right? So he's fought mostly in Eagle FC, not the one that Khabib owns. There's another one. He fought in that one back in like 2018, 2019. I believe he was the champion. Since 2019, he's only had one fight, and that fight was 22 seconds long against an absolute scrub. I mean, it honestly looked like the guy just gave it to him. Like it was all set up. It was weird, and it didn't give me anything to work with. He locked up a Darce. The commentary was screaming guillotine. The whole thing was a mess. Poclit, he shows certain things that are good. He's a really good wrestler. Nice single leg, nice top control. The trips are really good. The ground and pound is really legit. The throws are really good. His striking doesn't leave much to like, really. He wings his strikes. Nice front kick to the body. But other than that, not much. He is a bit hittable, but he's mostly a grappler, it seems like. But, like, he's not, like, super good. He's not, like, top of the notch. It's not like he's controlling all of his opponents. His last fight in 2019, he fought this guy. I believe he won. And it was weird. Poclit was the champion, but it wasn't a title fight because the guy wasn't a number one contender. But, like, it was a super close fight, and it didn't really inspire a lot of confidence in Poclit. But I was still really curious about him as the underdog. Because, personally, for Schiro, I feel like the only reason he keeps coming in as a big favorite, like his last fight, he was like minus 600 or something. I mean, granted, it was a gimme fight. The guy was terrible, but, I think he's only such a big favorite because he had that fight with Logan Storley where, on his record, it says he's got a split decision loss to Logan Storley, current Bellator champion. So I think the bookmakers and I think people are looking at that and are saying, if this guy can take Storley to a split, he's going to wash anybody else. And it's just not really the case. You look at his last fight for Dante Schiro, Scotty Howe. And during that first round, I was like getting ready to play Poclit. I was like, this is terrible. Scotty Howe is much smaller. He's landing shots that he should not be landing. He's holding this guy against the fence. For God's sake, he took him down. Scotty Howe took down Dante Schiro. Schiro did get back up, but it wasn't a good look. Dante Schiro, he does have good BJJ. Goes for a lot of guillotines, which I don't love, but he doesn't necessarily have to drop down to get them because he's so tall. So he tries the standing guillotines. That could be live here. Poclit will be shooting more than likely, but Poclit can mix in throws as well. So I wouldn't be super confident there. Now, in terms of the striking, it takes Schiro a second to warm up. If you watch only round one of the Scotty Howe fight, you'll leave this saying he's terrible. Schiro is a terrible striker. But he just needed to warm up because in round 2 and round 3, he looked fantastic. The output was great. The jab was really good. The counters were really good. The combinations were there. Once he let it go, he looked fantastic. His own wrestling isn't that great, but his top control is really good. He uses his length in that clinch really well. Really nice knees down the middle. I lean Schiro here because he's younger, because he's much bigger, and because he's been more active. But with Poclit coming in as such a big unknown, it's hard to really play Schiro. Poclit can come in here and just dominate him. Based off his Instagram, it seems like he stayed active. He looks good. He looks in shape. But I lean Schiro here. I'm not going to get to a play probably. Poclit still has my interest kind of, but I just can't play a guy when I don't have any tape from him since 2019 except the 22-second fight where the guy stuck his head into a Darce. Like, nah. So I lean Dante Schiro, but I don't think anybody should play this fight. I think we should wait and see what Poclit looks like on his comeback. But we're going to move on. And for this fight, I can't spend a lot of time on it, and I can't do that because Rafael Hudson, there's no tape on him. I don't know if maybe I'm missing something, but I consider myself really good at finding tape. I have the MMA Tape Index membership that I pay for every month that allows me to find a lot of fights that I normally wouldn't find. I look them all up on YouTube. I look up the channels. I look up their Facebook channels. I look up their actual websites. If cards are available for purchase, I normally buy the card. Can't find anything for Rafael Hudson. There's like a video, I think, like 9 years ago on YouTube, but like I'm not going to base a bet off of that. So Ciaran Clarke was originally going to go into my big parlay, but I left him out for that reason. But I'll introduce them real quick, and then we'll run through this because there's not much to say on Hudson without any tape. We've got Ciaran Clarke versus Rafael Hudson. Clarke is 5-0. He's 5'8" with a 66-inch reach, and he does train out of SBG Ireland. He was supposed to fight a different opponent, Sasu. I was actually going to play his opponent as the heavy underdog, but that fight is no longer in existence. And Hudson, I believe he got put in like yesterday or like 2 days ago. So he's super short notice, but he's 5'3" himself, 5'9", and he's training out of Nova União. I don't have a reach. And like, you just can't play it because you don't know, right? You look at his record. Yeah, he has a sub loss in his last fight, but it seems like it was against a Russian. But again, I couldn't find the fight anywhere. It was Brave CF 54, and I couldn't find the fight anywhere. Couldn't find any of his old fights other than the 9-year-old video on YouTube. So I can't really break this down. Ciaran Clarke, I can talk about him. He's a decent striker. It's not really his thing. He's a grappler. That's always been what he's been best at. But his striking is good. It's serviceable. He's got a good jab, good combinations. He's only got 1 KO win. The guy had a dislocated shoulder, so he's not one punch knocking people out. His amateur record is very strange, 13-11-0. I'm not sure I've ever seen one like that. But so far, so good as a pro. He's looked great. He's got a good few wins. I do believe he beat Barton 2 fights ago, so that's a good win in my opinion. But again, I have no clue what Hudson looks like, so I can't make a play here. I took Clarke out of my parlays. You can't use him as a parlay piece if you have no clue what his opponent looks like. Nova União, 5'9", he could be really good. We don't know. So yeah, I'm staying off this one for sure. Even though I think Clarke should probably win. Short notice. I imagine they're not giving him a crazy matchup, but I'm not going to be putting my money against a man who hasn't fought, and I don't know what he's going to look like. So we're going to move on. Cheers, guys. We got like 3 fights left. Just under an hour and a half for the Contender Series. I'm super hyped to see how the fights go. I'm really hyped for the young kid. I'll drop my Contender Series bets at the end of this video for anybody still watching if anyone wants them. I did make a Contender Series breakdown video last week. I do it every Friday. But if you don't have the time to check that out, I'll drop my picks at the end of this video real quick. We do have 9 live viewers in the chat right now. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. You guys are the reason I do this. So thank you for tuning in, and cheers. Also, I've been drinking these lately. Celsius, absolute crack. Absolute crack. I'm a big coffee guy, but that stuff is good. Gets you so wired. But anyways, they don't sponsor me, so I'm not going to talk about them. We've got Burnell versus Pedro Carvalho. Burnell is 16-4-0. He's 28 years old, 5'8" with a 68-inch reach, and he's training out of Extreme Couture. On the other side, you've got Pedro Carvalho. He's 27 years old, 5'11", so he's 3 inches taller. He is 1 year younger, and he's got a 70.5-inch reach, so he's got, what is that? A 2.5-inch reach advantage. And he is training out of SBG Ireland. So, look, Burnell should have him covered everywhere. Burnell is a very solid striker, keeps everything nice and tight, mixes up to the body really nicely. He's good, really good in the pocket, good counters. My only issue with his striking is his output. I don't love his output. I think it's questionable. And Carvalho on the other side, that's something he's not really lacking. He's not lacking output. He'll keep kicking. He'll keep punching. The combinations are good. He puts together the kicks and punches, which is something I love to see. He's nice in the pocket as well. I will admit he's quite a bit hittable, even though he's moving his head. I think that Burnell is going to land quite a bit on Pedro Carvalho. But I think what really stands out for Burnell is his grappling, right? He's got a really good double leg. The wrestling is really, really good. Top control is very solid. 9 submission wins, 4 Japanese neckties. I looked it up because I actually don't know what it is. It seems to be like a sort of Darce with like a different variation. If anyone in the chat knows, let me know. But I believe it's a hard choke to get. So he's got 4 Japanese neckties. He's got 2 sub losses himself, but it was Michel Prazeres in 2017 and Arnold Allen. So you can't really blame him. Both guys work with really good forward pressure, but it's Burnell who's very good at cutting the cage. And look, I think Burnell should win. I think Burnell should win because he should be the better striker. He should be able to land better. He should be able to stay safer. And he's able to mix in that grappling. I think that's the biggest weapon he has here and the biggest advantage. We have seen Carvalho struggle with the grappling a little bit, but he does have good get-up. So I'm not positive that he's going to get controlled the entire fight by Burnell. And in the striking, I think it's going to be closer than the numbers suggest. I think Carvalho is going to land too. I do like his kicking game quite a bit, and I'm not a kick guy, but I think he mixes it in well. And he's super young, man. He's 27 years old. Like, he's going to keep improving. So is Burnell. I know Burnell should be improving as well, but I feel like Carvalho in particular, we've been seeing slowly get better. But, you know, it really depends. I know a lot of people are super low on him, as the line suggests. Like, a lot of people don't like Carvalho very much. He hasn't looked great. His last fight was against this, I don't remember the guy's name. I believe he was Polish, though, making his Bellator debut. The guy was pretty good. Carvalho lost a split. I thought it was super close, but it was a good performance from Carvalho, I thought. A decent one, at least. Look, I'm not going to play anything here, I don't think. I certainly don't suggest playing Burnell. Not at minus 450, that's for sure. I personally don't want to parlay him just because I think Carvalho could be live here on the feet. I'm more tempted on Carvalho, kind of. Plus 350 is the comeback right now. And I believe by Friday, it'll probably be even steeper. People love their Bellator parlays. So I believe as people start parlaying Burnell, we might get an even better line. So yeah, I'll probably drop like a quarter unit on Carvalho. Super small stake. I just think it's going to be a close fight. So I might drop a quarter unit on him. We'll see where his line ends up. But otherwise, I'm not very interested in this fight. Burnell should win. He should be the better guy. But should doesn't mean much in MMA, right? We've learned that this year, that's for sure. But we're going to move on to another fight where I thought I was going to get to a bet, but I didn't end up doing it, and I don't think I will. Excuse me. So for this fight, we've got Leah McCourt versus Dayana Silva. Leah is 6'2 and 0. She's 30 years old, 5'8" with a 69-inch reach, and I've got her training out of Next Gen MMA Liverpool right now. On the other side, you've got Dayana Silva, 10'7 and 0, 5'7", so she's given up 1 inch in height here. She's 2 years older, and she's got a 68.5-inch reach. We're going to call it same reach, 69 inches. And she's training out of, I have Pedro, based on her uniform in her last fight or 2 fights ago. I don't remember exactly. It looked like she's training out of Nova União. So I'm not positive on her camp. But look, I came into this fight looking to bet McCourt. I thought this was a buy low spot. Look at the Tapology predictions. I mean, it seems like everyone's on the same page. Bookies opened it up at minus 175. But once I started doing the tape is when I was like, why? Why? I think that the only reason I could see is if people go to the Dayana Silva versus Julia Budd fight, and Budd was able to take her down. Silva didn't have much of a response to Budd's wrestling in round number 2, so I get it. Maybe that's why. But like overall, Dayana Silva's shown pretty good takedown defense, and she's actually shown some decent skills with the wrestling herself. Not necessarily wrestling, with the offensive grappling. And I think she's the way better striker here, right? Like, you look at Leah McCourt against Kavanaugh, she looked terrible on the feet. I mean, the flurries that she used to close the distance were just concerning. Just not much to like. And then you look at her fight against, I believe it's Borgo, something like that. I think she was like 3-2 and 0 at the time. She's now 3-3 and 0, I think. So in that fight, McCourt was actually landing pretty well. She had a nice 1-2, a good jab, but it's like against who, you know? Like, her opponent was a walking punching bag. So yeah, Leah McCourt looked good on the feet. But then against Kavanaugh, she looked terrible on the feet. So I do think Dayana Silva's the better striker. She actually has a really solid jab. She'll double up on it. She'll triple up on it. She's got a nice straight right. The combinations are good. She's just not using them enough. But I don't think she's going to be struck by McCourt. I think that if we're on the feet, it's Silva. I think that if we get to the ground, it's McCourt. But I do think that Silva can get up. She's never been submitted. So I do think that Silva's live. I don't want to play it because she's now the favorite. I know that Leah opened up minus 185. She's now plus 111. Dayana Silva, she was plus 155. She's now minus 131. I don't suggest playing this, honestly. Um, I guess you can still make an argument for McCourt, right? Because she did look pretty good in the striking against a worse opponent. Maybe that striking is going to improve and start translating to better opponents. And her wrestling should be better here. I do think she's going to get Silva down. So I guess there's an argument to be made for the dog. She's also bigger, right? She'll probably be a little stronger. I just can't get there with the striking of McCourt. It's really rough. I think Silva on the feet's going to be quite a bit better. So I do like Silva. I lean her way, but no bet for sure. If anything, it's dog or pass, but because I do think the dog has a path, but it's no bet for me here. And we're going to move on to one that's a lot of fun. All right. So for this next one, we've got Yoel Romero versus Melvin Manoff. Manoff. I don't remember how to pronounce it. Yoel Romero is 14-6-0, 45 years old, one of these ageless Brazilian wonders, 6 feet tall with a 74-inch reach. And I do believe he's still out of American Top Team. On the other side, you've got Melvin. He's 32-15-0. I wanted to point out, of those 32 wins, 28 of them are by knockout, which is absolute madness. 46 years old. He's 5'8", so he is giving up a good 4 inches in height here. He's got a 71-inch reach, so he's giving up 2 inches in reach. Excuse me. And yeah, I mean, it should be Romero here all day, right? The line indicates it. I mean, the bookies are on top of it. Romero is currently, he opened up at minus 400. He's now minus 700. Comeback on Melvin was plus 300. Now it's plus 500. Look, first of all, if you want to fade Romero and want to go with Melvin, I mean, the only way you can do it is by KO, right? Papa Chuck saying it's pronounced Manhoff. All right, but that's what we're going to go with. Melvin Manoff. Better than what I was saying, I think. So, yeah, look, how is Melvin going to win this? It can only be a knockout, a lucky KO. He carries a ton of power. Like I said, 28 knockout wins. It's hard to deny that, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's live, I guess, but he's way smaller. Romero is going to be way better in the striking, I believe. Even though they're similar age, just 1 year age difference, I do think Romero has way less wear and tear. Romero, unlike Melvin, has only been knocked out one time. And I'm honestly not even sure when that was. I see it on my thing, and I'm like surprised. I want to pull it up. Going to pull that up real quick because I don't remember when Romero got knocked out. But I certainly don't think that it's going to be Manhoff knocking him out here. I really just don't think so. Melvin has shown good takedown defense. He held up a little bit against Corey Anderson, but Corey ended up taking him down. Let's see. I have Romero's Tapology open. He got knocked out in Strikeforce in 2011 against Rafael Cavalcante. Okay, so that was a while ago. I don't think that Melvin's knocking out Romero. Romero does have that wrestling. He doesn't really use it all too often, but he does have it. He's definitely going to have the grappling edge here. Can he knock out Melvin? I think so. The only issue I have with Romero is he's low output, but like so is Melvin. So I have to go with Romero here. He is the fourth leg of my chalk parlay, the fourth and final leg. So I'm going to read that out for you guys, let you know the odds and let you know my stake for it. Let me pull it up real quick. All right. So our chalk parlay is Karl Albrektsson, Darragh Kelly, Yoel Romero, Brett Johns. This is all on FanDuel. Plus 114 for 1.2 units. Disgusting, square, chalk. Say what you want, but I like it. It's what we can do, right? We got to find some kind of spots. Don't force anything, but if you like the favorites, I like those four, so I put them together. I'm hyped to see the props, like I mentioned before. There's a few that I'm already thinking about, and I do have one money line play. I mentioned Barton. We're going to be playing him once the line settles, but yeah, let's move on to our main event. We got these fights coming on in just over an hour, so we don't want to miss those, but let's get right into this one. So I'm going to say right away, I'm biased a little bit. I do not like Benson Henderson anymore. I used to be a fan, but I don't know how many of you guys watched the Islam Mamedov fight. Forget who you thought won, right? I thought Mamedov won, but I was also holding a Mamedov ticket. So I was biased there, whatever. I do think that Benson Henderson lost that fight. But then when the fight ended and Benson just brought in like his little daughter and like put her on his shoulders and like ran around like he just won a title and like won the fight, the decision hadn't even been read yet. Like he could have lost 30-27 or like I think it was a main event, probably not 30-27, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But regardless, no, it wasn't the main event. That was Bader and Moldavsky. But yeah, I didn't think Henderson won that fight, and because of that, I'm biased. But I'll try to work through that bias for you guys. Just wanted to give a heads up. I didn't like his little family parade to sway the judges. But we've got Benson Henderson versus Peter Queally. Henderson is 29, 11, and 0. He's 38 years old. He's 5'9" with a 70-inch reach, and he's training out of MMA Lab. On the other side, you've got Queally. He's 13, 6, and 1, 33 years old. He's 5'10", so he's 5 years younger, 1 inch taller, and he's got a 74.5-inch reach, so he's got a 4.5-inch reach advantage. And he also trains out of SBG Ireland. So, look, I am tempted to play Queally. Maybe it's my bias speaking, but I think that it's, aside from the bias, I think Queally is a decent play. You can get him for plus 188. I'm looking at on FanDuel. I might get there. We'll see. I see money still coming in on Henderson on Bet Online, so maybe I can get a better line. We will see. It looks like they already dropped props for this fight, actually. This wasn't here before, but I'll work through them with you guys. Let's check it out. So for this main event, they set the fight goes to decision at minus 190, and the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 155. I'm not sure which one of those I like. Fight starts round 2 is minus 1,000. That's hilarious. Yeah, no, these overs are just juice to the gills. You know, your only way of playing this is if you think it goes under. Henderson by KO is plus 1,400. That's interesting. Queally by KO is plus 375. Hendy submission plus 600. Queally sub plus 2,000. Henderson ITD plus 400. Queally ITD plus 300. All right, so if I was playing Henderson, it would probably be this. Henderson decision is minus 135. You can get a decision for Queally at plus 400. Yeah, look, I kind of like Queally here. I think we're going to get a stand-up matchup here. Benson Henderson just hasn't been himself anymore. He used to be one of the greats. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think that Peter Queally is some kind of world beater, but Queally's a good striker. He's got a great output. I do think he's going to have the better output here. He's got that dog in him. I think he's a bit hungrier. I like his elbows. I like what he does in the clinch. I like what he does in the pocket. He holds a high guard, so the body shots are going to be open for Benson. But Benson also doesn't mix up targets all that much anymore. He'll throw body kicks, but he's not really targeting the body with his hands. So I do think I like Queally here. Oh, my God, Queally. Jeez. I do like Queally here. I'm going to see what I can get him at. Plus 188 is super tempting to me, to be completely honest with you guys. But I'm going to see what I get to. And, yeah, that's the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll run through my parlay one more time and let you guys know my money line play. And then I'll give you guys my contender series bets. And then we're going to get out of here. So, quickly, the parlay is Karl Albrektsson, Darragh Kelly, Yoel Romero, Brett Johns, plus 114, 1.2 units. I'm going to play Barton money line. I'm probably going to get to Peter Queally as well. And then Papa Chuck, thank you, man. Thank you for always coming in. Appreciate you very much, brother. And yeah, so that's it for Bellator 285. And then quickly, I'll give you guys my contender series bets. I've got Bruno Ferreira. I played him at minus 220 for 2.2 units. Right now, he's at, oh, you can get minus 212. Yeah, I mean, if you like it, I'd play it. I'm not going to sit here and break down the fights. I already did that on one of my previous videos, so go there if you want the breakdown. But I do like Bruno Ferreira. I played Raul Rosas Jr., our 17-year-old stud, at 2 units at minus 155. He's now sitting at minus 177. I don't like that very much. Then I've got Richard Jacoby, plus 134, 2 units. I'm honestly devastated. He was at plus 175 for quite a bit, and I was convinced I'd get plus 200, and I was going to play 2 units there. Didn't get it. Money came in the other way. Whatever. I like plus 134 for 2 units. You can get plus 125 right now. I don't hate that. Then I've got my last money line play is Roybert Echeverria. I got him at plus 185 for a half unit. He is now sitting at plus 160. I think that's still playable. And then I played Wick inside the distance at plus 1,000 for 0.2 units to win 2. He's now, let's see, inside the distance is now, I know it moved down. It's plus 650 now. So I massacred that line. I think Wick's kind of live, honestly. I'm very excited to see him go. So, yeah, that's a show, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out with me right before these Contender Series fights. Let's get after the bookies. Good luck to everybody. And I will be going live as usual on Friday to break down the last week of Contender Series. So make sure not to miss that out. And yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one.